Welcome to Really American. I am Michael Hayne. Let's get started. Now, it seems like it was a year ago when Trump selected JD Vance to be his running mate and number one cuck, right? Like, just the insanity of the news and the speed with which it comes out really seems like a year ago. Anyway, it seems like Trump may already be regretting that decision to have JD Vance. I mean, we probably all know Trump doesn't even want to have a VP in the first place because, like, that means, wait, your name's got to be next to mine. I can't have it. But JD Vance might even be a bigger fraud than Trump. I didn't think it was humanly possible, but unlike Trump, JD's kind of like subtle and clever and polite about it, and not some caricature of a naked gun cartoonish villain walking late night tawdry infomercial like Trump is. Sorry, maggots, I hate to break it to you, but JD's not a hillbilly. Hell, he's not even a conservative. Look at him. He's an effete venture capitalist, okay? Now look, I grew up upper middle class. I am far from being Appalachia, but I don't pretend to be. But now, people who can speak on this, and in fact are vociferously calling out JD Vance, for example, is Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear, a potential running mate to Kamala Harris. Let's hear what he had to say.
JD Vance is a phony. He's fake. I mean, he first says that Donald Trump is like Hitler, and now he's acting like he's Lincoln. I mean, the problem with JD Vance is he has no conviction, but I guess his running mate has 34.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up because he just responded to something you said today when you are calling him phony this morning. You said that he ain't Appalachia, as he talks about his roots and growing up in Ohio, but being raised in the summers by his grandmother in Kentucky. He said, nobody gave me the governorship and nobody gave me a job because of who my father was. I'm proud of that. Obviously a reference to your own father. What's your response to those comments from Senator Vance?
He ain't from here. He is not from Kentucky. Listen, this is a guy who would come maybe in the summers for some period of time, or to weddings or funerals, and then he claims to be from Eastern Kentucky, tries to write a book about it to profit off our people, and then he calls us lazy. And this makes me angry, but it especially makes me angry about our people in Eastern Kentucky. Listen, these are the hardworking coal miners that powered the Industrial Revolution, that helped build the strongest middle class the world has ever seen, helped us win 2 world wars, and he called them lazy, acting like he understands our culture and he's one of us. He's not.
Bam! He not only ate JD Vance, he roasted him, and he had him for leftovers. But it's not just Governor Andy Beshear who is shredding JD Vance and his complete and utter fake Appalachia background. But I believe now Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota is like, hey, Andy, I think I can one-up you. Let's hear what he had to say.
I know is that people like JD Vance know nothing about small town America. My town had 400 people in it, 24 kids in my graduating class, 12 were cousins, and he gets it all wrong. It's not about hate. It's not about collapsing in. The golden rule there is mind your own damn business. Their policies are what destroyed rural America. They've divided us. They're in our exam rooms. They're telling us what books to read. And I think what Kamala Harris knows is bringing people together around the shared values, strong public schools, strong labor unions that create the middle class, health care that's affordable and accessible. Those are the things. You look what they're talking about. They went right to division. They did not give us a plan on health care. Donald Trump talked about infrastructure. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris built bridges, built roads. So I think this is going back to the bread and butter, getting away from this division. We do not like what has happened where we can't even go to Thanksgiving dinner with our uncle because you end up in some weird fight that is unnecessary. and I think bringing back people together, well, it's true. These guys are just weird. And it's, they're running for He-Man Women Haters Club or something. That's what they go at. That's not what people are interested in. And there is angst because robber barons like JD Vance and Donald Trump gutted the Midwest, told us we didn't do that. They talk about private schools. Where in the heck are you going to find a private school in a town of 400. Those are public schools. Those are great teachers that are out there making a difference and gave us an opportunity to succeed. That angst that JD Vance talks about in Hillbilly Elegy, none of my hillbilly cousins went to Yale, and none of them went on to be venture capitalists or whatever. It's not who people really are. So I think that message doesn't resonate. You saw it yesterday. The energy out here exploded. We all broke fundraising.
God damn, Governor. That was a mighty serving of whoop ass. Now, Governor Walz, your first mistake there was assuming that Republicans actually have policy at all, like they actually have ideas at all written on paper that will actually help real people. No. Republicans' entire existence is predicated on manufacturing complete and utter BS to convince low information voters to vote against their economic self-interest. Because, rainbow beer cans over here, man. They're gonna harm my life. I'm not gonna be able to advance in my career because those rainbow beer cans. And we got drag queens reading and everything. We can't have that. How's Billy gonna learn? Billy needs to go to school where there's shootings every day. We can't have drag queens, educating them. Now, those, of course, were the politicians. Now, I applaud Democrats for finally, one, growing a pair, and two, pouncing upon their quasi-working class, disingenuous exploitation wonderfully. Okay? That's what they haven't done, and that's what they need to do. The Republicans are the elitists. They're the ones that work for the top 1%. The top 1%, as Bernie Sanders would say. Okay? They want to give them permanent tax cuts, just like Trump's reverse Robin Hood tax scheme made the corporations' tax cuts permanent. Your sunset it and have been going up. But let's actually hear from a legit Appalachian who can probably speak to this stuff way better than any they can.
Why do Appalachians hate JD Vance? What a great topic to talk about. As always, it's me, Jules, that Appalachian bitch that tells you Yankee motherfuckers about Appalachia. So JD Vance is what we in Appalachia would call a carpetbagger. If you don't know what a carpetbagger is, it's basically someone who profits off of specifically the South. The term came around after the Civil War when Northerners were moving into the South post-Civil War to benefit from Reconstruction. It's also a term specifically for a politician who is seeking election and trying to pander to an area that they are not from. And it happens a lot in the South and in Appalachia. And JD Vance is a carpetbagger. He wrote a book called Hillbilly Elegy, and if you're from Appalachia, a cold rush just went down your spine. Don't worry. We only have negative things to say about it on this channel. Hillbilly Elegy was a memoir, supposedly, about his life. But in it, it was rife with all of these really negative stereotypes and misconceptions about Appalachian people. It implied that Appalachian people were lazy, that they were dirty, that the opioid epidemic happened in their area due to their own mistakes, that they didn't know how to pull themselves up from their bootstraps, and so they were going to be consistently stuck in these cycles because they didn't want to help themselves. And it's something that a lot of Northern Yankees, as I refer to them on my account, basically like Northern educated, typically liberal people, absolutely ate the fuck up. I've said it before on this account, I'll say it again. Northern-ass liberal people love to have any form of negative stereotype about the South because it makes them feel better about themselves. So they loved Hillbilly Elegy. It was essentially a form of poverty porn, which is something that happens in Appalachia all the time. It's where reporters or photojournalists or what have you will go into really deep rural parts of Appalachia and photograph these people or interview these people and profit off of talking to these really poor people, whether it's photographing them in their very poor homes or what have you, even though they're not from there, and it also doesn't help the people in Appalachia because they're not seeing any of that money. And that's essentially what Hillbilly Elegy did.
Oh, crap. I guess I'm one of those Yankee educated liberals she was talking about. But you know what? This girl is completely right. And there will hopefully be more just like her to call out this complete and utter BS that apparently JD Vance is all about. Anyway, I am Michael Hayne. This is Really American. If you enjoy our content, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Talk to you later.